Where are we? Okay. Okay. All right, here we are for the world's shortest stream. Thank you for coming. It was a wonderful stream. I have to go now. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye for now. Okay, no, it's not going to be that short. But you know what they say? If you got a short stream, you got a long, boring day ahead of you. All right, let's have a catch up and see who's here. Who's here? Fury, how are you doing? Hello, Modpro. Hello, Caleb. Hello, Enrico. Hello, Bot. Hello, Milady. Hello, Charlie. How you doing? Charlie bit me. That never gets boring in my head. Every time I see your name. How you doing? Whew, what a day it's been. Hello, Londo. How you doing? How you doing? Hope everything's tickety-boo with you. Right, it might be that the music is a little bit too loud. But we can fix that through the power of sliders. No, not those little hamburgers. I don't know. Okay, it's been a long day. I've been in many calls. We've been productive. Right, that's not supposed to be there. Let's be here instead. Wait, where's all my stuff? Oh, shit. I'm on the wrong workspace. There's no way this is going to go wrong. You were accused of having sense? Oh, my goodness. Well, you know what? I've been accused of worst. Accused of worst? Of worse. Of worse. I don't know what I'm doing, okay? Okay. The things people say these days. You, before you left, man. That was funny. Anyway, right. I have absolutely no content for you guys right now. The only reason I'm streaming is because I'm hoping desperately that content will make itself. And if that's the case, then couldn't everyone be a streamer? You know what the secret is? Everyone can be a streamer. It's actually very little effort. Being a good streamer, I don't know. I'll let you know if I ever find out what that means. What did you do? It's, you know what, Modprog? Don't worry about it. It was funny. You meant to say one thing, you said something else. Charlie, thank you so, Jesus. Holy biscuits. Holy biscuits. Wow. Wow, look at that bunny. Oh my God, Charlie, it was not worth 50 gift subs. Don't worry about it. Next time you're buying a new house, I'm going to help you move. Oh my God, that is just out of this world. Thank you so much, Charlie. That is so nice. Well, that puts us past the halfway point though, right? That's almost like no, that's called a halfway house. Anyway, wow, that is so nice, Charlie. I cannot express how kind that is of you. And you know what? For those of you who don't know, we're doing a goal. If we reach 250 new subs, there wasn't supposed to be new subs, but we can't really change at this point. If we reach 250 new subs before Halloween, then my child, I don't know why I'm pointing at myself, but it's my child is going to be allowed to do my Halloween costume. Well, really, my makeup, right? And so far, she's come up with 4 ideas. A witch, not a warlock, a witch, Shrek, a pink My Little Pony, and what was the last thing? Either way, none of it is... all of them involves red lipstick. So no matter what happens, I'm going to be dressed like a prostitute for half a day, right? If we reach that. That is so interesting. She's going to be super stoked. It will blow her mind. When I told her, she asked me yesterday, how many subs did we get? And I was like, 2. So I go, how many? 2. Okay. And then today... Today, I can tell it. We got 50 today. 50 today. Oh my God, thank you. We don't need a last. I think it's going to be a pink little pony. For those of you who don't know what that is, let me find the picture again of that thing, right? And pink pony. So she comes home from school. She's going to put all this makeup on me. And this is her idea, right? This pony is what she wants to Pinkie Pie, right? That's what she wants me to look like, right? And that involves hair color, and she's going to get face paint, and apparently there is pink face paint, so there is no way I'm gonna be a winner if this comes through, right? So anyway, here we are, right? What's going on there? Anyway, right, so she's very excited about that, and she's going to be on stream with me, wearing her Halloween outfit. We're going to sit and do the tea with Toggle. I don't know why I'm pointing over there. You have no idea what this room layout is. Anyway, we're going to be over there. We're going to do a co-stream where she paints on me, and maybe I let her sneak a peek at chat and you guys can make suggestions. I'm not entirely sure I want that. Not because I think your suggestions are bad, but because I don't know if I want to expose my small child to chat in general. But here we are, right? Yeah, everyone seems to be voting for the pink pony. If I could only remember what the 4 ones were. Okay, here we go. Pennywise from It, Pinkie Pie, a witch, and Shrek, right? And I am sure that she will come up with more ideas as time goes. But we have to reach the goal before Halloween because we have to go and buy the props as well, right? She's got free reigns to buy whatever she wants and do whatever she wants if we reach the goal, right? So anyway, a downtrodden rusty one, no doubt. I imagine that I would look rather unlush, which is now a word as a prostitute, right? But there you go. Let's not talk about my shady past as a Rust e-girl on Twitch. So yeah. Well, there you go. There is that. Prostitute, yes. Like this. Do I want to open that on stream? I could have opened that on stream. We could. That's probably not the ears. I don't know how to do the ears, right? So that's probably not gonna happen, right? But it's gonna be whatever it is. So you gotta remember that she is not a professional makeup artist or an MUA, as we say in the photography business, which I am not in. And instead, think more crayons, okay? Less Picasso, Rembrandt, more crayons and finger paint, right? Anyway, I hope that we reach the goal because I do believe that my humiliation will be of great entertainment to many people. Hello, Alan, how you doing? You know what, Alan? You've sent so many bits. I think we received enough bits and subs to last us for the whole day. Thanks again, Charlie. Thank you so much, right? Yeah, wow, that kind of blew my mind. And to imagine that I was going to go and lay down in the corner and cry instead of stream today. Whew. Probably good that he's less Picasso. Well, he was a photographer, though. He did more than his weird art, right? What am I doing? You know, don't ask questions I don't know the answer to. What are you up to, buddy? What are you up to? Are you working? Should we rope you in on stream? Do you want to join? We can do this on Discord now. I tried it yesterday. I did rejig the audio, but we can try it again. Doing your day job? No, that is not. Thank you, Olad. Thank you so much. That's very kind of you. Thank you, Olad. What a surprise. Your code did not do that, Charlie. You know what? I should be giving you subs, Charlie, because you made it really easy for me to make content. So thank you very much for that. I have a Yocto build compiling. Let me go. Okay. All right. Let's do it. Okay. We do need some you know what? Let me just do this in the meantime. We want to get the teacup emoji. It's not teacup emoji, Unicode. Teacup without handle. That'll do, teacup. We need that. So we're gonna edit. Wait, channel names can have spaces in them now? When did that happen? Wait, they can't? Okay, live channel names can, but chat channels cannot? Valorant? I know, Valorant is like, me and my kid tried Valorant. Not a lot, but, you know, we need a lightning bolt. Whoops. There we go. Save check. Can we get a nicer lightning bolt? There we go. High voltage. Let's get a yellow one instead, not the board. Wait, they're all the same? Are they all the same? Why is it not yellow? You look yellow to me. What? All right, you know what? Don't question it. Save. There we go. All right, Valorant, this game is written in Rust. If you play this game, I am not one of those lucky people. I missed the broadcast. Wait, what do you mean? You can just download and play it. There's no broadcast. Working on implementing Brotli in SQLite 3 this morning. So that sounds confusing to me. Severely upset. Easel cannot be used in a mixed release. I don't know what Easel is. Been working all morning. Well, you know what? Tenacity. Yes, thank you, Charlie, for all the subs. Thank you so much, Charlie. We're getting the flashlight bolt icon so the DC Comics company doesn't get upset. We need it. We too need it, right? Too right. Okay, let's open up the Discord client. Let's see. Okay. Right then, I have probably failed to set this up accordingly. Let me see what my microphone is set to. Advanced audio output. That told me nothing. There we go. Rode Pro 2 analog. There we go. Input device. Rode analog. All right. I think sometimes, not successfully, we're good. Wow, yes, it's been a day. How you guys been? You've been at work, hopefully, assumably, presumably, you've been at work. I have been in phone calls and I've been preparing dinner. I did not have time to do laundry, or at least that's what we're gonna tell the wife when she gets home. What else is going on? Well, and then the thing with Charlie happened, and like my kid's gonna just flip her lid. All right. When I told her the sub count yesterday, I'm gonna tell her the sub count today. She's gonna be so excited. But that means we are past the halfway point by what? 11? No, you can't count. 9. No, 11. Yes. Okay, let's keep saying words. All right. I mean, okay. If you hop into the Toggle Live channel on Discord, Don, we're gonna see if we can get this working. I'm gonna pause the music because I don't think we need that playing at this moment. And we're gonna see. Okay, there we go. And then I'm gonna jump in. Can you hear me?
Yeah, 1 second.
Yep, take your time. Okay, can I get, there we go. Can we do that thing? Okay, right, now we can even, you can even have video on if you want. I can bring you on there. Look at that. All right, exciting times. Where should we place you? We can put you up there. I know, RJ, it has just skyrocketed as Charlie dumped a load of subs on us today. Let's see. Can I sing something while we wait for him? No, I think that's against TOS if I do. Interrogating viewers? Yes. I should just sneak in there and blast again. Well, you could do that, Modprog, but then that would mean that you would be a naughty person and you would end up on the timeout step. Yes. Okay. It says 2 out of 1 people in there as well. So I do believe that Discord really got the ducks in a row with that. It's a little bit weird that like you can't say 2 people and 2 people only. It's 2 people and everyone else with mod status, right? So you can't do much about that. But that's just Discord being Discord. Let me see if I can get the music back up and if that's going to bleed into the Discord chat in the meantime. It does not. So I think we're good, right? Yeah, that channel stays quiet. Okay, wonderful. All right. There we go. Well, looks like it's just me here. Well, how you doing, me? I'm doing all right. How am I doing? Well, you tell me. It's been a pretty good day. It has been a pretty good day. Are you tired? You know it. Did you have enough tea? You can never have enough tea. All right. It's a little bit trying to do this with myself. Let me just leave this thing. Otherwise, it can't join again. Boop. There we go. I disconnected from my own conversation, right? Yes, you can come back in again. It's all good. Okay. Let's take down that one. Okay, there we go. Testing.
Hello.
Hi. Are we not getting a camera today?
I will be getting a camera here in just 1 second.
All right, let me pop this out again. There we go. And then we're gonna hide me. There we go. Oh, look at that. Look at that. You're the CEO of the company, mate.
I am. I'm working today.
You are. And imagine this is what it looks like where you work, right? So this is like your office now, yeah?
Yeah, I got my electronics in this drawer down here. I got my alter ego and everything.
So in the bottom corner, right, of your desk, is that one of those Linus Tech Tips like toolboxes? Is that what you guys use for work? Do you buy your stuff from Linus Tech Tips?
Yeah, and I review cell phones.
Oh, that's very good.
A lot of them. You see, I got a few of them right down here. I got like 4 of them. I got really big hands though.
Or I was gonna say, or is it like are your hands big or are the phones small? Right, that is the biggest coffee cup. No, sorry, French press I've ever seen. Right, that's wonderful. All right,
my wife says I have really big hands, so.
I don't know what to make of that. The only thing I know about your wife is how she yells Donald when she's upset. Which, you know, Anyway,
Oh, it's
right.
good for helping out at the farm.
Very good, very good. All right, so how much do you have left of your working day then?
What time is it? 9:40. Hang on, let me check real quick. Yeah, my Yocto build's got like another hour.
All right, well, there you go, man. There you go. I mean, that obviously reminds everyone about that XKCD. What are you doing? We're compiling, but in your case, it's actually true, right? You actually have the compiler going. Do you
Mhm.
is it like would it be correct to say it's your boss or your client? Are you employed or are you consultant?
I am employed full time.
All right, and your boss knows about like the compilation time of this.
Oh yeah, yeah. There, we got a couple of builds. I've had one going for about a week and a half, and it's still going. Um, yeah, it's quite ridiculous. Sometimes you have to pick up other people's dirty laundry, and you have to assess where it's currently at before you can make improvements on it. Yeah, it's crazy. These Yocto builds, though, if you do like a full image build, I don't know if any of you know what Yocto is, but Yocto Linux is just a platform where you can build a Linux distribution and load it onto an embedded system. Some of these builds, if you got X11, Wayland, and everything in the kitchen sink, it can take days, if not sometimes weeks, to compile. And so what I'm doing right now is trying to take this really massive build from somebody who had no idea what the heck they were doing and trying to consolidate it down into like about a 256 megabyte image. So
Okay,
it's been fun.
so what happens with this final Yocto build, right? What do you do with is it like an image that you load onto something, or what happens with this?
Yeah. Yep, yeah, it's just like an image that you just run DD onto the file system and load it onto a device. I can't talk about the specifics because it kind of may or may not be military, and it may or not be for robotics, and it may or not be explosive.
All right, well, you know what?
Yeah.
Sounds like my dinner yesterday. Anyway, that's wonderful. I mean, it's not that part isn't wonderful. We're gonna just convert there. For those of you who don't know, Don is actually working on hardware that's gonna be compatible with My Little Pony, and it's all about friendship is magic and nothing else. It's all perfect. It's perfectly sane. All right, and this is all. So once you have one of these images, but you can build this for like anyone can build these images. Are there like hobby enthusiasts that are building these Yacto builds then?
Yeah. Surprisingly, there's a huge community of people out there. I mean, this is a big project that's been out for about 15, maybe a little bit more. Yeah, I'd say about 15 years, but it's backed by Intel. It's backed by all these silicon vendors. They're all contributing towards this particular project. But I will say, just like any other project, it's a bloated frickin' mess. It is a mess. I don't know if any of you guys on stream watch Yocto or do Yocto development.
I don't know how. My community is pretty diverse, I would say. There is everything from people who don't program at all to people who seem to know everything. So it's really hard. I'm sure there are some people in there who actually knows about this and knows what's going on there, right? So I'm sure there's some people. Have you built anything for your hobby projects with this? What happened to the games
Uh,
cabinet?
yeah. I got a couple of IMX 8 boards and IMX 6 boards. Sometimes I'll load stuff on there. I'll get a display up and running, and just so I can have a little contraption. Like for a while, I was working on a little depth finder, and I was thinking, oh, it'd be kind of a cool project, and I decided, nah, this isn't worth it. And I was thinking about doing a Yocto build on stream. But that's not really entertaining because what happens is you type a few commands, you do a little configuration, and you kick off a build, and then you sit and wait for about an hour. It's great.
That's even better. So your chat would just turn up and we're like, what's happening now? Still doing the same thing it did 2 hours ago. All right. And then what are we
Yep.
gonna talk about, right? So
Yep.
in your entire life as a programmer, right? Which I imagine is gonna be quite a few years, right? What's one of the more interesting things that you worked on that you can talk about?
Oh, I would say it would either be a perfusion system, ECMO ECLS system, or an RF ablation system. Probably the RF ablation system because that's a device that you take and you put that into a woman's cervix in their uterine cavity, and it puts a balloon and it inflates that. And then you put hot vapor into the woman's uterine cavity, and it ablates the interior wall. So it's kind of used for women for excessive menstruation or cancer therapy. So yeah, there's a lot of technology with solenoids that you got to control, and getting water at the right rate through an RF coil, and then applying a couple of filters to manage the vapor. And then of course you have the safety systems they have to deal with. I'd probably say that
I'm
was
looking
pretty
what
cool.
ablation means now, and I'm wondering if I should. Is this like
Ablation with an A. Yep. So ablation, yeah, just basically means to
the act of offering
yeah,
something such as
no,
worship or thanks to a deity?
with an A. A B L A T I
Okay,
O N.
ablation. Okay, sorry.
Yep.
Sorry. Removal
Yeah,
or
it's a
destruction
different.
of something from an object by vaporization, chipping, erosive process, or other means. So yeah, okay, you said solenoid, and I'm reading chipping. So this
Oh
really
yeah.
paints a wonderful picture. Okay, that's pretty extreme. So
Yeah,
is
so yeah, the solenoid is used for putting air into the balloons, because if when you have to be careful on not injuring the patient, because if you just put hot vapor into a woman's uterine cavity, what's going to happen? Where's that vapor going to go? It's going to go out. That's not good. So you got to inflate a balloon, but you have to get that inflated to the right volume. And so, yeah, you have a solenoid that you use to put to open a valve, so that way you can put the air into the woman's uterine cavity, or into the balloon, I should say.
all right. So what's the what?
Yeah,
So okay. So you built this thing. So this thing is being used in various medical hospitals, medical facilities, and likes.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Do you
yep.
have a prototype at home? Do you have like a balloon and a solenoid? Can we see this?
No, not anymore. I used to, but I gave it back with my employer when I left.
Oh,
So,
fair.
but yeah, no, it's all FDA approved. It's all in the field, working well. And I think if I recall, the company got acquired by a larger company
Oh,
after that
I
got
see. I
released.
see. Well, I mean that's fine. All right. What about software wise, right? Or do you feel like you're more at home in the hardware field than the software field? Where do you position yourself?
Oh yeah, it's all software. It's all embedded software. It's all C, C++. I mean, you're writing. So basically, let's say you have that solenoid, right? That's just a GPIO that you flip to turn it on and to turn it off, right? So you use software to control that. A lot of times you might have pressure sensors or temperature sensors. How do you read that? Right? There's like little chips or component circuits that you read from. And those have traces or lines going to a processor. And it's like a bus, a communication bus. Like for instance, you got Ethernet or whatnot. But like with temperature and pressure, you might have I2C, or I2C as some people know it, or as SPI. And so you have device drivers, and you write to those registers on those chips. You do queries, so you can do reads and writes. So instead of just like being local on a computer, it's just a remote device that you interface with. And then, yeah, so you take all that stuff and you stack software on top of it. And then before you know it, you have a software application that controls the hardware. So that's where I'm at. I'm that low level hardware or low level software guy, just above the hardware.
So what's the worst thing you've ever written or worked on, right? And we can go as far back as to like childhood here, if you remember like your first program or anything like that.
Oh man, you could probably even find it on. Actually, it's not too bad. It's more basic. I made an IRC bot in Perl one time in high school. That was pretty fun. It's called PAIIB. I'll bet you it's even on SourceForge.
On
But it was like a little
SourceForge, man,
100
and you
line.
know it's not new.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think it was like a 100, 200 line Perl script. It was pretty basic. What
But
else was there? A lot of my game engines that I've wrote, I'm quite embarrassed by a couple of those. Professionally though, I don't know. Nothing in medical. I mean, because there's too many restrictions, and um, the standards help to ensure that there is some level of code quality in what you're designing. Yeah.
do you have
Yeah, I
like
can't think.
rigid guidelines? Like do you have the NASA guidelines where you're not allowed to use heap memory or anything of the sort?
So everything in the medical industry, it's all risk based. So what happens is generally you have a use case. You might have a doctor or some type of specialist that says, I need to do feature X, or I need to do feature X to patient because this technology doesn't exist. So what happens is people, like generally in marketing, they'll come up with the use cases, where what type of solution is needed, and here's the use cases that would be done to follow through with ensuring that the solution is completed. Well, from there, that goes to requirements management. So we come up with a product level requirements where we say, hey, what's this product going to do? This device, like for the RF ablation system, or let's talk about like a wireless arthroscope, a wireless camera that goes into the knee. The device shall have a wireless battery powered camera. It's like a product level requirement. And you can kind of take that and drill that down from product level requirements into software requirements, or even hardware requirements. You can say this product shall use a XYZ type battery. This device shall interface wirelessly using ultra wideband or using that spectrum. So you drill down into that, and then the software says the software shall use FreeRTOS, or the software shall interface with a battery and get power, or the battery voltage over SM bus. So you kind of get into those details. Well, then what you do is when you have those requirements, you figure out where are all those areas that can fail, anything that can harm, cause a burden to the patient, or even kill the patient. Right?
I would
the last thing you want to
argue
do
that having a camera inside your knee is already a burden to a patient, right? So,
yes.
but do continue. Do continue.
Yeah, absolutely. And so what you do is you talk about, like, if something causes a patient injury or pain because your technology failed. And so then what you have to do is assess what can we do to mitigate, to ensure that when a failure happens, that where are the mitigations, where are the redundancies, the extra fail-safe modes, or what can you do to avoid that situation? And then what you do is you assess everything and you say, okay, what are the highest risks that we can't mitigate against? And you evaluate those risks and you say, do these risks outweigh the benefits? And so you have to have that conversation with the FDA for a couple of cases, and it's never really too fun. So a lot of times it's just easier to try to figure out a lot of mitigations. So a lot of mitigations that you would do, this is where it comes into the software piece that you're talking about, heap allocations. You might say, hey, we will use safe RTOS instead of free RTOS, which is more an IEC 62304 compliant OS.
Obviously.
Or you might have something that says, yeah, we will not do dynamic heap allocations at runtime, right? So that would be an extra mitigator right there. We'll do static analysis. We'll do unit testing. We'll follow these MISRA standards. Everything will get unit tested. We'll do our integration testing. We'll have traceability from our requirements to our hazard analysis to the code. And then we'll ensure that we have tests to meet every single requirement that we have implemented.
So have you ever had to endure any of your own inventions upon your person, right? Have you ever been in a situation where this has been field tested on you? Like have you had a camera in your knee that you worked on or anything of the sort?
I have not personally. I mean, I've seen, like, for instance, a particular camera used on a cadaver's limb, I've seen a few cadavers over the years. My dad, though, he had a quadruple bypass, and his operation required them to use a perfusion system, which was coincidentally one of the perfusion systems I designed. So I thought that was pretty cool.
That is insanely
co-designed.
Cool.
Yeah.
Did you say to your dad, "You're welcome" afterward, and just lay it out to him? You're welcome, Dad.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. He looked at the model and like, he was asking about the model, and yeah, so they got back to me. And then there was another case where at a previous company where I was working at, there was a somebody who worked in manufacturing, and they ended up needing open heart surgery and needing a perfusion system. And he found out, like, after he was recovering, they took a look at the serial number, brought it back, that serial number back to the factory, and looked up the serial number, and found out that he was the one who made the perfusion system, or built it and assembled it. So that's a pretty cool thing too. You see that happen every once in a while.
That is pretty cool. We got something in chat here. Someone talking about the pill that you swallow. That pill, Enrico, has a very bad resolution, and you have to fish it out of the toilet. That is generally used, to my understanding, when the patient is not comfortable to have the camera down their throat, or the other way around. But yes, that pill exists. It takes pictures as it goes down. How have we gone this deep into the conversation without talking about Therac 25? I think everyone has talked about Therac 25 enough, but I don't know. Do you have anything to add to that conversation, maybe?
Honestly, I'm going to be honest. So I've been out of the medical industry for about 3 years now. But little more than 3. I don't know what Therac 25 is.
I've
never even heard of it till now.
Therac 25 was the old. Now, correct me if I'm wrong here, but that was the incorrectly programmed
the radiation machine, right? That had the errors and it killed people randomly. I thought this was like more of a modern thing. Yeah.
Yes, reusable. I don't think all of that they are reusable. The pills to swallow. I think, well, maybe they are, but the world of medical tech is really, really fascinating. But it's also incredibly terrifying, because as someone who doesn't work in it, the only time I see that is when it's being used on another person or myself. I remember having one of those cameras down my throat, and the woman, like, she's gonna give me some kind of throat anesthesia. She's like, spray this down. It tastes a bit like bananas, she said. And she sprayed it in my throat, and I screamed at her, "What kind of rotten bananas have you been eating? Because this is like absolutely vile." And then, I had like the camera down my throat, and then they took a sample from my stomach lining, and I can like feel the doctors like pulling with some kind of like hook or whatever it is, like just like pulling, tugging at the inside. It's very, very creepy, right? So that's working in the medical industry must be pretty interesting and desensitizing at the same time, right?
A little bit. Yeah. The one thing that I found, though, is back in the day, software used to be like the Wild West in the medical industry. There really wasn't a lot of regulatory standards, and occasionally you'd have to go back and look at some old stuff, and generally it didn't leave a comforting feeling in my stomach. Even after medical standards came out, like for instance IEC 62304, I've sometimes seen code where I don't care. They went through the unit tests, they went through all the integration testing, the validation work, all the verification stuff. They did their DHF for submittal with the FDA, and I still would not want to touch that product, because sometimes you question, how the heck did that get through? And then all of a sudden you find out that after a while, it's like, hey, look at all these recalls. And that is exactly why I am not an advocate myself personally of being a trial user on a product. I mean, unless it's something where the software is relatively trivial, or the components are trivial, or like an arthroscope, like a wireless camera, something that is minimally invasive. It's a class B device, something that could injure a patient, but it wouldn't cause serious injury or death. Something like that I'd be okay with, because what's the worst case? Oh, they got to take the probe out and they stitch you back up and you got to go back into the OR. Versus a perfusion system, they got your chest ripped open, you're all cannulated, and they have the blood redirecting into a machine that puts oxygen back into it, heats that blood back up. And then there's a pump that sits there and spins, so it sucks the blood out. But of course, that pump can't pump too fast, because if it pumps too fast, it's like slurping out of a straw. And if you slurp out of a straw, what happens with the straw? It cavitates, right? And it goes, it's not fun. So you don't want that in your body. And then before you know it, you get a bubble and you end up with a stroke. So it's like, you want to make sure that stuff's vetted. I'm like, I'll leave that to the other guinea pigs to try out first.
So here's a more serious question. What do you think about the sort of the morality or the ethics around having all these systems being closed source, right? As for instance, what would you think of an idea of like an open source pacemaker, right? The software being open, right? What do you think about this? I don't know if yeah, you probably can talk about that, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, I can tell. Oh, yeah, because I'm, I like all my non-compete and all that stuff is, all expired and stuff, so I don't have to worry about some of that. And within respect to what you're talking about, I'm not talking about a specific product, but I think that sometimes closed source is okay, especially if you do get some value with the security through obscurity. Now, a lot of days, the medical companies, what they will be doing is they will always hire somebody, a cybersecurity expert, to do pen testing on their product. And there's an FDA document. It's been a while. They probably have something more formal, but it's a pre-market submissions for cybersecurity, and basically it's almost like a DFAMICA. So what they'll do is they'll do their pen testing. They'll beat the crap out of this device, and they will output a report. And in that report, it'll say, here's all the security vulnerabilities we found. And what the medical company has to do is they have to say, what are all the security holes? What are the severities and impacts based on that vulnerability? And are we going to mitigate it? Are we going to resolve it? Or are we going to do nothing about it? And sometimes they do a combination of black box testing and white box security testing. So, I mean, it really varies based on the company. But the issue that I often see is when you get a product out to market, what do you have to do? You have to maintain it, right? So if you got to maintain that product for a certain period of time, technology advances and things that were secure or considered secure at that time may not be secure 5 years from now. So let's say you have a pacemaker that's open sourced and that is no longer maintained. You might have a community looking at it from a security standpoint, but if 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 there is a security vulnerability, who's responsible for doing those updates? Like, let's say you got a pacemaker that's got a security vulnerability. How do you update it? Yeah, there might be a mobile app that you could use, or you have to go in sometimes and they'll have to do the software upgrade at the facility. So if you have to go to the facility, that means the company or the medical company who designed the product, they have to maintain those security updates. The other part of it too is there has to be some level of control because if the community is contributing software updates, look at remember a while back, there was a couple of software updates that had vulnerabilities. Well, wasn't there a compression library or something that had a security like vulnerability a while ago that somebody injected? They had some malicious intents. There was something a while
oh yeah,
back. I can't
yeah,
remember
that
what it
was
was.
the there was like one person who made like this series. I know what I think I know what you mean. It was like this Finnish dude was running the software, and he had like this other guy had contributed like one or two things to it, and yeah, XZ says modprog. I think that might have been it. Yeah, I think I know what you mean. And it was a vulnerability
Yeah,
in
XZ.
Firefox the other day as well, right? So hopefully you're running latest version of Firefox now, right? Um,
So now, yeah, imagine if you had this happen in a medical device. you know, could you
True,
something that could cause like patient injury or death? I mean, that could be
but
very disastrous.
if you flip on its head a little bit, what if the source is open, but it's not like the source is on GitHub and anyone can submit a PR. It's more that the software that's running on things inside your body is available for you to explore. And if the community can't submit PRs, that's probably a good thing. But if they can spot mistakes with it, I mean, you work in this industry, you know that maybe you and a couple of other guys have looked at something, and that's all the exposure they got at that point in the product. So things can get missed. Don't you think that more eyes
Mhm.
on something is generally better?
Yes, absolutely. Me personally, I agree with that. The other aspect is the devil with all these details is the financial side of things, right? So let's say you create that opportunity. Now, to expose that software. That creates another possible vector. And that creates a lot of cost for a company to manage. So let's say you open source that now, or you provide that accessibility so you can look at that code and personally. If you did that 10 years from now, you still have that and you see a vulnerability, something that nobody else would have seen because they didn't have access to that code. This medical company, what are they going to do? I mean, they're going to be like, well, financially, this doesn't make sense. This is a product that's end of life. We're no longer supporting it. How do you manage that?
No, that's fair enough. I mean, I think it still would end up being the responsibility of the manufacturer to maintain it. From my perspective, is more about exposing the source code. Of course, it's not something I think is a possible reality, because you're asking someone to pay for development of something, and then the competition would just take that and work on that. And from a consumer's perspective, competition is good, right? But from the company's perspective, maybe it's not, right? I do think that people are generally cynical when it comes to medical technology, because of people like, what was his name, Martin Shkreli, doing things, the whole oxy pandemic, no, not pandemic, but the whole oxy thing that happened. And like, in general, people are very cynical to it, because it's like, all right, you're charging us for this medicine, and this medicine costs nothing to make, and all that, and then like there's a lot of money in pharmaceuticals, which is not necessarily the same thing. So that's only from that perspective I was thinking that pacemakers and like anything that runs inside my body, I would be pretty happy if it was open source, even if I don't understand it. I just want to know what's there now.
Absolutely.
I don't think,
Especially from me with the stuff that I have seen that has passed through. Keep in mind, I worked on perfusion systems, but not pacemakers directly. I know a bunch of people who have worked on pacemakers. But yes, I personally, especially even like perfusion systems, some of the code that I've seen and the code that I've had to clean up in the past, it's quite ridiculous what you can sometimes see. And then sometimes you might even, after you look at that source code, you'd be like, I don't think I want to use this product. And this is ModProg. You got a really good point. I agree with you that pacemakers should not be able to go end of life unless there is a succession plan. So if a pacemaker goes end of life, you have something to replace it. And Londo mentioned the battery swap. Generally, yeah, after a period of time, you have to get those pacemakers replaced, or sometimes you got to get them serviced. So during the lifetime of the product, yeah, you have to support it. But what happens too is you end up with components that are end of life. For instance, let's say you have a simple device that goes into the body, and maybe it's just a simple pressure sensor that's built into your body. I don't know exactly what it does, but that particular pressure sensor out of this huge circuit goes end of life. Then you have to do an update for that pressure sensor, but eventually certain things just will go end of life. So it's not just the pressure sensor. Maybe it's some type of weird FET or that you need on the system, or it's the processor that goes end of life. And you can't buy any more of those components. So, I mean, yeah, there is a period that after a device is end of life where they do still provide software support for a period of time on it. But it all comes down to what the business cases are.
yeah, I mean, I guess you're gonna have to replace things eventually over time, right? Which is
Yeah, look at Dennis Clark. I think he's on his fourth pacemaker right now.
is that
Last miles.
Last miles? Yeah.
Yep.
I've heard. Is he the one who's yelling "Rust sucks" in your stream? No,
Probably.
Fucking Rust. Is that him?
That could be me.
Very good. Oh, speaking of technology, right? So, have you ever done any work in like prosthetics or anything of the sort?
No.
And what do you think though? I mean, I don't know how involved in that world you are, right? But what do you think about the future of prosthetics? I mean, it's amazing how many parts of the human body we can replace and substitute. I think when I was a child, I read in a magazine there was like 135 parts back then that we could replace, right? What do you think about the future? Do you ever think about the future of prosthetics and cyber augmentation of the human body?
I think it's kind of cool. But for me personally, I don't know anybody who's limbless right now. I mean, I know a couple of farmers who lost a couple of fingers here and there, but yeah, I got no invested interest directly. But yeah, I think it's cool. I'm all for that. I I don't know who wouldn't. I know maybe it's somebody saying, "Oh, maybe you're playing with God a little bit," but
I
yeah,
mean, I think that would open up the conversation into that space. Like, is it okay if we could determine the eye color of our unborn child? Is that okay? And like, because we do genetic screening to some degree, right?
Mhm.
Like, you do if you're about to have a child and you're in your 60s or whatever, then you probably should, right? Because of the risks that are involved and all that stuff, right? So yeah, it becomes one of those kind of. Moral debates or whatever. Did you ever play Deus Ex Mankind Divided?
I have it in my Steam library. I think I have that one. Yeah, I do. Because it was just on sale like, couple months back. I haven't played it yet though. So you're talking about genetic augmentation prior to birth. Is that what you're saying? Because I know you're talking about prosthetics, but then you were talking about genetic
Yeah, no, that's
augmentation.
more
Is that
like
correct?
exactly. So if we can, so it kind of becomes a story of if we can replace our arms with something that can exert more force and be more. I mean, imagine if you're working as a firefighter and you can have basically a fireproof exoskeleton or whatever, right? And you can, or if you lose a limb, you can replace it. So it kind of becomes a question of, do you want to replace something even if it's fine? And if we start tinkering with stuff, are we getting into the
Oh
whole
yeah,
like
yeah.
how much thesis ship, right? Is that what it's called, thesis ship? You start replacing parts, and when do you cease to be a human? And like like a big topic here, obviously. I mean, might be a bit much to
I
unpack, but
I feel that it should be up to that choice of the individual. Absolutely. It should be their choice to do what they want with their own particular carcass.
yeah, I mean, like I'm piloting this
Their
carcass.
carcass.
I'll do what I want. This pre-carcass,
Yep.
right? So we're gonna
Yep.
comment from London here. What do you think about using languages other than C, C++ in medical devices? Would something like Rust work, and what would the road to acceptance look like?
I know people have been looking a little bit at Rust. The one problem that I see is compiler validation. So one thing that you need to do is when you make a medical device, if it's a Class A device that doesn't hurt a patient, you don't have to really much worry about a lot of that. You don't have to do the validation work. But if it's a Class B or C medical device where you could harm somebody and cause serious injury or death, then you have to do compiler validation. You have to prove that that compiler is stable, it's rock solid, and when you write code, it's deterministic, generally deterministic, and it will, when you write code, you know how it's going to behave. So generally, you have to have a suite of tests for that, or what you might need is a compiler that is already validated. I mean, you can do the validation work all by yourself, which a lot of companies do, especially if you're a larger company, or sometimes they will just pick a compiler that is IEC 62304 validated. So Rust, that I think from a validation standpoint, because there is a lot of features in there, there's a lot of complexity there. I know you can still look at the Rust code and then correlate that to what's going on in the assembly. But I think it would be a bit more of an undertaking. So for Class A devices, I think it would be totally fine. I'm sure maybe in years to come, we might see that in the Class B and C devices. But based on the people who I've been talking with in the industry, from working in the contracting days, the consulting days, and then working with like the larger Fortune 100 companies, it's not really a topic on the radar as much.
No, fair enough. I
It's still
think
C and C++.
Yeah, I think the closest I've heard about this is, I think, in the space of aviation and something called Ada Spark, which has had something to do with Rust. Spider-Biggin is mentioning Ferrocene, but I don't remember what Ferrocene is. That's a company building that product. I think that's an attempt to formally verify the compiler, but I don't know. Maybe you can shed some light on that, Spider-Biggin. All right.
Yeah. Yeah, I live in a box. I've never even heard of Ferrocene.
No, I think that's. I think you wouldn't hear about this unless you look into what like the Rust community is up to and all that, right? So how do you rate my C code I wrote the other day? That was pretty good. Do you feel like I could work with you guys now?
I think you need to read in its entirety Robert Traster's Mastering C Pointers.
You know, I actually want to read that. I want to read that just because of what you showed on stream. But every time I go to find it, it is nowhere to be seen, right? I feel like
I'll
sometimes
get
it's
you a
been
copy.
white. Get me a copy. I'd read it, man. I did think
Yeah.
about going through that and learning C on stream through Robert Shyster's book,
Yeah.
and that would be quite fun. I mean, the most memorable thing from that, from what I saw, was the return of stack allocated memory from a function. That was like the most memorable thing from that.
It's
Um,
it's so bad it's good, you know?
it's
It's
very
so bad it's good. I love it.
so. Do you? Is there any room for junior developers where you have worked? Right, given the
Mhm.
severity of the work, right?
Absolutely. It's strongly encouraged. As a matter of fact, I used to go to recruiting fairs all the time to bring people in for internships. Yeah, a lot of these Fortune 100 companies and some of the other medical places that I was at, like the contracting houses, consulting houses, we brought them in as interns, and that's where the FDA process at least is for. I mean, there's some guidelines on how you write software, or not necessarily how you write software, but how you ensure software quality. How you write software, that's a little bit up to you, but you have those guidelines and you have senior engineers who can help mentor the entry level engineers. So I've mentored dozens and dozens of interns and entry level engineers in the industry.
All right. Do you enjoy that work, the mentoring aspect?
Yeah. Oh,
That
I
is good.
love it. I love it so much. It's great.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. I mean, I quite like that part as well. I'm not doing any in C, obviously, but because they would never be able to keep up with me. But definitely done it in C sharp and Rust and the likes, right?
Yeah. And
It's
and
very
and
fun.
and also they do use C++, and sometimes even Python in the industry. Of course, for the life-saving stuff, not as much Python. Python is more used for automated testing, scripting, those types of things. But yeah, C++ is quite heavily used in the medical industry as well.
So without mentioning any specifics so we don't out someone, what's the worst thing you've ever seen anyone do in software that you can remember?
Um, I seen a nested if statement that went 20 lines deep or 20 branches in for a medical device. I saw state machines that went in 5 levels deep. Um, I've seen people try to release medical devices with absolutely no unit testing. Sometimes unit testing is not necessary; it's severity based. Because I'm more practical on that, but I've seen some code that I've had to scrap everything and start all over again. So, what else have I seen? In the IoT space, I seen a LoRaWAN push button sensor that all it is a push button. It's a little device, simple device with a button. And when you press that button, it blinks an LED and it sends a message over LoRaWAN. 50,000 lines of code. I'm not kidding.
But
Um,
was it really good though? Maybe it was like
no,
Giga Chad and
no. I Have you ever seen code written by somebody with Alzheimer's? I have, and that was the author. He didn't use pointers or anything in there, and it was the most convoluted, obfuscated thing. And I found out that he actually did have Alzheimer's. So what happened was the two co-founders of this company, they started this company up. They had this great idea dealing with LoRaWAN technology, and one of them was a kind of an R8 software engineer, and then the other one was a really damn good EE and was phenomenal with RF design. Actually, I'm going to go out to lunch with him next week. Well, what happened was the software guy ended up being the CEO of the company, and it was only it was a really small company. They brought on a software engineer part time, kind of an experienced guy here. He came across as being experienced because he was in his 50s, 60s. I think he was in his 60s. And they didn't pay him cash to work. They paid him in stock options. And then when the company gets acquired, he'll get some type of payout. But you know how stock options really work, right?
Oh man, I
So,
have stocks and I have ownership in so many companies out there. I don't even keep track, and I don't think any of them exist anymore, right? Because it's all like you
yep.
get some stock options, sure, thanks. Just pile them on with the rest of them, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, give me my 1 penny's diluted stock. Strike price of
Yes.
a penny, right? Yeah.
I,
But anyways, so I heard stories where this guy, he would sit at the screen and he would stare for like 2 hours just at the screen and not type anything. And it was just absolutely crazy the stories I heard. Well, anyways, he was diagnosed with Alzheimer's and ended up retiring. And you can see that in the code.
that
But yeah,
that
I had
is
to rewrite everything he wrote.
that is funny, but also insanely tragic. Like because your
It is.
passion.
Mm-hmm.
I've been a programmer
Yep.
my entire life. I don't want to be anything else. They try to promote me, and I won't have it, right? And
Yep.
I am terrified that like I'm like if I lose my legs, I lose my legs. If I lose an arm, I lose an arm. One eye, fine. Hearing, okay. But if my brain goes and I cannot do what I'm passionate about anymore, that terrifies me. And that's probably one of those living nightmares, right? When you can't do anything anymore.
Dude, I
Have
feel you. It's a reoccurring wheel for me. Every place that I've worked at, I get promoted into management, and then what happens 1 year after I'm in management? I leave because I don't
yeah, I
want
mean,
it.
but it's not fun anymore because you're not like solving
No,
problems. You
you're
so
HR.
yeah. I mean, I don't mind it when I have a small team and like you can fix or build up a team. That part is fun. But when everything's running and you're just doing the day-to-day stuff, it's not a challenge anymore, and you're just sitting there collecting money, and it's not fun, right?
Yeah,
Have you
no.
had to deal with ADA code?
Ada code? No, I have not. I've heard many stories about it. Uh, the CEO of or the CTO of the current company that I am working for, he has had he gave me an interesting history thing about Ada within their organization. I can't talk about those details, but I've heard some horror stories. I'll just say that.
I got another question here from Dottie,
Yeah.
who used to work in medical a while back. So, a question I have is how much software is the safety checks versus functionality? Stuff I worked on was
Um,
75% safety.
I would say it varies. Again, that kind of comes down to the DFMEA when you're doing your hazard analysis, figuring out all the ways that you can harm patients. That's really what drives a lot of it. It's so that's what happens with the hazard analysis, and then from there, then you have to rate your software system if it's a class A, B, or C device. And then that's how you determine what level of functionality goes into it. Sometimes you could see where it's like 90% of the stuff is safety systems, and then the other 10% is the actual code itself. For instance, that RF ablation system, there's so many ways when you put this gun into this woman's uterine cavity, um, it blows up these balloons, and those balloons, you don't want those balloons to pop. That could hurt. If it doesn't inflate properly or you don't have a good seal, that could burn the woman's cervix. You put too much vapor in, or you got the temperature too hot, that could be a problem. You have where the machine won't turn off and it won't stop blowing vapor. That could be another problem. You need to abort the process. There's so many safety checks there. I'd say about 80 to 90% of the code there was all safety. Then the other 10% was logic. But then, like in the arthroscope, the camera arthroscope, I'd probably say maybe about 5% was actual safety because the thing doesn't do it's basically an input only device. You're just a camera, right? A wireless camera.
Mm.
The thing that you want to ensure is for essential performance on that is that the camera is always running. The camera never dies on you. So if the camera never dies on you, then you're fine there. But the worst case is, oh, the camera dies. All right, well, let's get a different device in.
Basing a question on what Janine is saying, says, I don't know if I want to pick up programming again. So my question to you is this. If you had to stop being a programmer tomorrow and you developed an allergy to computers, what would you do?
Uh, um, I love individuals. I hate people. I'd be a farmer, easily. I'd go fishing a lot, camping a lot. I'd probably do more charitable activities. Yeah, I'd probably help the father-in-law out at the farm.
Are you like halfway there? So I know a lot of programmers. I say, oh, I want to quit programming and I become a farmer. But you actually have a tractor and a couple of horses, right? I mean, like you have a farm,
Yeah,
right? You're already
yeah.
there.
I have a hobby farm. Yeah, I got chickens, got horses. Yeah, got a tractor.
I think you passed hobby farm, right? I think hobby farm is someone who has a
A little
shoebox with a chicken in it. I think you're kind of in the farming space now.
Yeah, I don't I have a little tiny garden. I'm not growing crops or anything with my tractor, but I'll be taking the tractor out next year and cutting hay, baling hay. It's combining for corn is coming around. I don't really have to help out with that at the in-laws farm too much. Also, it conflicts with deer hunting, and that's a priority for me.
Okay, Londa asks,
Yeah.
if you could change one thing about the medical software industry, what would you change and why?
Oh boy, that's a good one. Oh my. Um, I definitely would like to see a little bit more. How do I say it? There's too many things that are subjective in the medical industry. So, for instance, an FDA auditor can come to your facility at any time unannounced and say, okay, we're here to audit a device. And a lot of times the rationale is maybe there was a blood heating system that generated bacteria and a killed patient from a totally competitive or a competition or a competitor. And you might have that same thing. So the FDA might just randomly come in, say, hey, what you doing? Show me all your documentation. And then sometimes it feels like they will ding you on an audit just to ding you to say, okay, I did my due diligence, did my job. Here's a fine, here's a slap on the wrist, even though it wasn't really a major problem. And then you get a different FDA auditor, and they would have, oh yeah, this is good. It's very subjective with some of that, and I'd like to see a little bit more consistency there. Yeah. Also with the cybersecurity stuff, the guidelines there, it's a little bit too loosey goosey.
All right,
But
interesting.
besides that, everything else I'd say is all right.
You got
It's definitely much better now than it was 15 years ago.
so you have like you have a general good faith in the medical tech industry.
Eh,
eh, maybe.
that's why I'm not guinea pigs. That's why I will not be a guinea pig.
Oh, that's yeah. I don't know.
When you see the sausage being made, it's yeah.
So what would you do then? Like if you're done, or rather, when you're done with your current job, right? What's the next step for you then? Is it automation, or sorry, aeronautics, or where would you go?
I so I think I'm done with the medical space. I don't know if I have any desire to go back to it. I might stay. I don't know. Actually, then again, I might. I'm at that spot in my life now where I'm tired of making other people rich.
All right, I see
I
that.
want to make myself rich.
I think that's something that happens to most programmers at some point because you end up with this inept management, and you just sit there and think, I could do this better if they weren't here, and we could do better ourselves. That's how I started my first business, which I did terribly with, by the way. It turns out running a business is actually a lot harder than I
Yeah,
thought.
it is. It's a grind. Hmm.
But I mean, it's fun. It's fun. It's very like involved. You meet a lot of people and you do a lot of networking. But then again, you have to become a people person doing that. And if you think one customer or one boss is annoying, the moment you have a company with customers, you have possibly thousands of annoying people clawing at your ghoulies, right? Um,
Yep.
so that one's
And
hectic.
then, yep. And then if you get shareholders, you have to deal with them too, right?
That's even yeah, absolutely. That's even worse, right? Because then you have to answer to the board as well, don't you? So they, unless you do a cooperative, of course, we can take that the cooperative board or route when it comes to business, right?
Yeah. And earlier I said the word rich. I should also clarify, buying rich, I'm not talking about necessarily just financially. I'm talking more about rich in spirit.
Oh,
So,
of course. I mean, money
yeah.
is only interesting to the point where you don't need to worry about it anymore. After that, it becomes superfluous, right? It's like it's fun to
Yep.
be able to buy a nice car or whatever, but that wears off. That wears thin because you don't see people who are rich go, I don't need more money. I'm done now. We have enough and we're going to stop making money. Now, that doesn't happen. I think that's like either you have the mentality that money is success and it drives you forward, or you kind of just don't want to worry about money when you're doing the things you're passionate about, right? All
Yeah.
right. I am being told that I have to go and do the cooking now. But before I go, question for you. Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Oh, hell yeah. Every day,
There
all
we go.
day.
There we go.
And by the way, in the future for doing these streams, we should probably not use Discord.
Probably
It's
not.
I just popped onto the webpage and oh my gosh, it's like all I got a 1 gigabit internet connection and it's like all
I
choppy.
think the problem is obviously because there
It's
are
Discord.
lots of things in between. But what do you think would be a better alternative to this?
Um, so pineapple with Canadian bacon on pizza, that would be a better alternative to this.
Okay, and in terms of streaming software,
Oh, that I don't know. I wonder what the other people use. That's why I was kind of curious when I saw that knock feature for streaming, where you can do. I'm curious what that looks like
I think
and how
that's
well
all
that
just
works.
WebRTC under the hood. I think we're basically just
Yeah.
looking at different versions of Google Hangout, but we can try that one. I can log into Twitch on like Google Chrome or something. We can try that, and hopefully it won't dox me too hard. Um, and Don Seals wants to know if I have a secret pineapple pizza club. No, you see, Don Seals, this is the thing. People actually like pineapple on pizza, and it's not that uncommon, right? There you go, right? So that's why
I eat everything though. I mean, there's
I
there's not a food item I will not try.
pig's brain. Have you tried it?
Uh pig's brain. I have not had pig's brain, but I have had head cheese.
Oh wow, that sounds
Yes.
interesting. Anyway, but yes, we need to do one of these things again in the future. I
Oh
wish
heck
you
yeah.
a good continued day. Good luck with your build, and I'll catch you next time. Yeah.
All right, later, Biddy. Have a good one, bud.
Cheers. All right. Thank you all for hanging out. I'm going to have to go and do my thing. This was really fun. I hope you guys are enjoying these streams. They are what they are. We'll try to get more people on there. Maybe one of you who don't like pineapple on pizza are willing to step into the chat and we can take it from there, right? So next time, maybe Don DeCias wants to join me on stream next time. So anyway, I wish you all a fantastic and I will see you guys